One of the things I really wanted to achieve was that feeling of organic sound in the guitars. Return to Nims Island was a wonderful creative opportunity for scoring. We were looking for sounds that were not lush and symphonic. The music was to have an organic, almost tribal feel about it. And so the tones that I chose were of instruments that were handmade to help depict that feeling of tribal and earthiness. One of the biggest challenges for scoring Return for Nims Island with this eclectic use of organic instruments was to find a way of doing humour. So I broke my little rule a little bit and I used a dobro resophonic slide guitar. And this particular instrument was used for the boys, the brothers, the Booker's sons, who were the baddies. And it just helped provide a bit of goofiness to the characters rather than the traditional malevolent bad guy kind of tone. For example, in the very opening title, I used that sound when a rock sank in the quicksand, because later on in the film, that's where the boys come to their bad end when they end up doing this, what I scored as a waltz into the quicksand, and that was the sound that I used there. And I also used it at the very end when they were arrested. What key you were in?
I put it in G major with a C sharp, so yeah. So it gives you a D.
One of the instruments that were recorded, which was really unusual for this score, was a zither. And we used the zither sounds to help at the very beginning, the shimmering of the water and the magic of the bubbles. And it helped create an unearthly, very mystical place, a very strange place. We didn't know what we were seeing. And so when we recorded the zither, I had the actual raw sounds. We then put it through processing with the recording engineer, put it through some reverbs and delays, and we had it bounce around the room a little bit, and so it ends up becoming a beautiful shiny shimmer. And I use that whenever we were with water. So when you actually hear the passages of music, you don't actually hear the zither, but you hear all the special effects that came off the sound. So we're not hearing the attack, we're feeling the bloom of the sound and its shimmer. I couldn't have achieved that effect with harp or guitar, so I think that was a good choice. We used instruments that came from the Pacific Islands. One of the instruments was a 2-hole flute from the Solomon Islands, which was about that long, with a hole for the breath and a hole for pitch. And using the breath and the extra hole to control going through the harmonic series, we were able to get quite a musical and rhythmical drive. In the orchestra, we had a very small, intimate group of string players, and we had a lovely intimacy that came from that. And then the other instruments that we used particularly were the tenor ukulele with nylon strings, and all sorts of little guitars that gave a really magical sort of texture. Return to Nims Island is a wonderful adventure. There's a lot of playfulness in it, and there's a fair bit of drama, and there's also a thread of friendship. And with that thread of friendship, there's a little bit of romance as well. So the score was able to ride lots of different genres, while each day I was writing in a different style, whether it was comedy or the romance, the adventure, or a little bit of terror in a few places. But it was loads of fun. I'll have to say that again, because that was an ongoing joke we kept having. I'll start again.